Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kimberly Solfridge of the Kids Money Project, and I am joined here with Paula Weiss of CNS Insurance. How are you doing, Paula?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking. Yes. Good. Hi,
Well,
Kimberly. How are you?
I'm good. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes. And we are so dressed for St.
I
Patty's Day.
know.
Yes.
Well, as you know, nobody else knows because I changed. I found out green is not the most flattering color for me on film or tape or whatever you want to
Yes.
call this. So yes, I changed.
And
It washed me out very badly.
yeah.
So I am going to look very un-St. Patrick-y while
Well,
we film. But
your little box behind you looks a little bit green. So
yeah, it
that's
is.
it.
It's very green, actually.
Yes. So that's a good color. And I don't own a green shirt. So
So
anyhow,
right.
St. Patty's Day to everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we are joining you today, and we are here talking about financial advisors and consultants. And so basically, we came across a statistic that showed only about 17% of
Yeah.
Americans talk to one, and about 75% talk to nobody at all, completely 100% doing their financial on their own, which
Scary.
yes, I was about to say that that's a scary, scary statistic
Statistic.
in my opinion. So
Yeah.
we wanted to kind of do a little research and find out why. Why are people not wanting to talk to financial advisors? What is it? So do you want to maybe dive into that a little bit, Paula?
Yeah, and it just astounds me, but 71% say they're scared, but I'm not quite sure what they're scared of, of whether or not it's finding out the truth or scared because they don't understand and they don't want to feel uneducated or be put down if they think somebody's going to talk down to them. It's just the unknown. And I think once they understand the value, they'll say, oh my God, I had nothing to be scared of, because you're talking to a financial advisor or consultant or any financial entity. You shouldn't be afraid. They can't take anything from you. They can't hurt you. It's just the beginning of a conversation.
Well, and it may be some of what you hear on the news and stuff like that, that they're concerned about things like what was it, Madoff and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different ballpark of a situation.
Yeah.
And there are ways to kind of, I don't know, say that I'm not going to say that nothing can ever happen. I mean, it is what it is. This is
Right.
life, and unfortunately, there are people out there that do bad things and take
Yes.
advantage. It is the exception versus the rule,
I agree
and
with
there
you.
are things that you can do to minimize your exposure in that area. And
Right.
so it is what it is, and of course there's reasons that you don't put all your eggs in one basket, so
Yeah.
it's
And
for
be
that.
careful. Yeah. And there are people out there, there's advertising out there that can be intimidating. But I think you need to start having a conversation. Just decide, okay, let me talk to a couple people. It shouldn't cost you anything. And
Yes.
we'll kind of get into that. But you need to be willing to open up. If your bank account, if your finances, if your investments aren't working, or you don't understand what they are and what they should be doing for you, you're doing yourself a disservice by not speaking to a professional.
Mhm. Well, and you kind of just touched on the second one. So 49% are concerned about the cost.
Right.
I think it's going to be too expensive. And the thing is, without talking to one of these people, you don't know how much it is going to cost you,
Right.
because there are different ways that they are paid. And
Correct.
so you need to start these conversations. The conversation shouldn't cost you anything. If it
Correct.
does, that's a red flag. That's
Mhm.
that's somebody you do not need to be speaking with. But you want to have that conversation,
Right.
start the relationship, see if this person's a right fit for you. Do you have a good relationship with this person? Is this somebody you feel like you can talk to? Because this is a very personal thing,
Right.
which has kind of lead into the next one, which is 47
Trust. Yeah.
don't want to open up with their personal finances
Mhm.
to a financial advisor.
And
And again, that's a very personal thing. We don't even like talking about money in our families, as anybody that
yeah,
follows the Kids Money Project knows.
I'll tell you that most women would prefer to talk to me about just about anything that I don't want to speak about or hear about than about their money. And sometimes it can make me blush, which is really, yeah. So I
Saying a lot,
understand
huh?
yeah, it's one of those deals, but you have to understand when that first meeting, you're not giving your soul per se. You're not giving your social security number. You're not giving it out any information. You're interviewing them. And you want to see if you can sit in the same room and be on the same page and talk about your overall concerns and what you want to do. But you don't have to provide them anything other than your name. But other than that, you're not obligated on any first interview that you have with somebody unless you're comfortable and you want to do business and you've committed to that.
Mhm.
So if that's what they're pushing for, then that's the wrong professional to be speaking with.
Right. Well, like she said, you want to interview that person, see if they're a good fit for you. You know, we don't fit well with everybody we meet. So don't just sign up with the first one because it sounds great. Now, you may eventually end up going with that person after you talk to two or
Mhm,
three or four or something like that. And you may go, the first one was the one,
mhm,
and that's great. But get to talk to a few and just make sure it is a good fit for you. You'll learn through that conversation. Do they share the strategy that you're looking for? Are they asking you what your strategy is for your money? That's a very important question that they need
mhm.
to know. So,
And the services they provide. And
yes,
and the big push on my part, if they have proprietary products, they are required to sell.
right.
And that makes a difference in reference to saying that they're not required to sell anything.
Mhm.
They can or they can sell everything that's available. So it makes a difference in reference to the services that are available. But make sure they answer your questions
Mhm.
in reference to what you're looking for. If you're looking for to start a SEP or an IRA or a 529, or how you just overall be prepared, bring your pen and paper and be prepared to take notes
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
make sure. And you
come
can
prepared with
intimidate them too. It's okay.
right. No, absolutely. And then the last one is 41% are actually worried that a financial advisor couldn't help them. And I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
where that kind of comes from, what their reasoning is. I don't know if it comes from they feel like a financial advisor wouldn't speak with them because maybe they don't have, X amount of dollars or whatever. So I'm not positive where that statistic comes from, but
I think if you listen to what's out there on TV, a lot of them give them specific, if you're not X amount of dollars. So somebody's looking, well, I don't have that. Well, there are plenty of financial professionals out there that help people with far less in their portfolio. And it's my job, our job, to help you grow your portfolio, to help you get to that point, to show you how to save, how to invest, um, give you options to make sure you're looking at your entire life and how your money and how you spend your money impacts the rest of your life. So don't use cost as a first interview to think you can't afford them, because sometimes you don't know that it may be far less than what you think it could be, and it's not necessarily money out of your pocket. And
mhm.
as we get further, and then maybe that's another topic as to how costs are broken down when you look to invest or when you're looking to do something other than your savings account.
Right. Well, and different financial advisors kind of have almost specialties, if you will, where
Mhm,
they work with people in certain areas of their financial goals.
mhm.
And, in fact, Paula and I were speaking yesterday about what her kind of sweet spot is on who she works with specifically. Actually, why don't you go ahead and share that,
Oh,
Paula?
thank you. I love working with women. It's my passion. I didn't know what I didn't know, so it was my lesson, my hard lesson, that I learned when I got my butt whooped and came out pretty much with nothing. And it was like, oh my God, now where do I go and how do I do it? And from there, I learned there is so much out there. But as women, don't we don't reach out. We don't talk amongst ourselves. I don't know any woman that will say, oh, do you know a financial person that I can talk to? Or have you heard this? We don't talk about money. It's taboo to us. And we really need to support each other. So I'm here to advocate for women's well-being. I answer the questions. What you didn't know, you didn't know. I'll tell you, I know the answers to a lot of them. And I will answer the questions you're afraid to ask. But you're not alone in your financial struggle. You don't need to be alone.
Mhm. Well, and so we wanted to talk a little bit because we know this can be an overwhelming topic. You
Mhm.
know, investing, it's a very personal thing, and it is our livelihood. I mean, it's money that we're making, so it's our hard work, our blood, sweat, and tears that are going into making this money.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we're saving this money to be able to support ourselves in a time where we may not be able to work for money.
Right. Mhm.
And so it's an extremely personal thing. So you want to make sure it's a good fit. And, like we started out by saying 75% of people are not talking to anybody
Right.
about this. And and unless you are somebody that's gone through and maybe been a finance major or gone through and gotten your
Even then.
license to be these financial advisors or
Mm.
consultants or CFPs or my gosh, there's a ton of them.
Right.
Unless you've gone and gotten that education, there's no way you are not supposed to understand every bit of this.
Right.
And just to kind of give you some numbers to kind of explain, I just went and looked up,
Yes.
how many mutual funds are out there. And as of
Are
2019,
you ready? Can drum roll?
yeah, drum roll, as of 2019, there were 7,945 mutual funds. And of course, that's a number that goes up and down constantly. As of 2020, there were 7,602 ETFs globally. In 2020, there were around 6,000 companies traded on the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. And then I never could find a number on the bond market,
Yeah.
but it is 30% larger than
The stock
the
market. Yeah.
yeah, the stock market.
Mhm.
So even bigger. And yes, that is extremely overwhelming if you're trying to go and figure this.
Right.
And I just pulled four. I mean, there's so much more that goes into that.
And that's what they hear on the news. That's that overkill. And in all due respect, media likes to create havoc. Chaos is what they get their ratings on. So you
Mhm.
need to be careful with what you listen to, and listen to more than one station so you don't get caught up in reacting to the chaos, because sometimes it's man-made and it's not real.
Mhm. Well, and how you want to invest. You want to make sure you're diversified. You want to make
Yes.
sure that all your eggs are not in one basket. So
Right.
if let's just say, McDonald's or Coca-Cola, these are big companies that everybody knows who they are, and they're pretty solid companies. Now, we all know the stock market goes up and the stock market goes down. And we can't necessarily pinpoint when it's going to happen. It's
No.
an up and down, depends on what the companies are doing and what's going on in the world around it.
But the
So
key is long-term investing.
right. And so you don't want one stock that you're invested in or
No.
two or three stocks. That's why
No.
mutual funds were really created. Is
Correct.
it broadens uh that risk factor. It
Mhm.
takes it and pulls it across however many. And of course, depending on the mutual fund, probably depends on how many companies are actually in that.
Yeah, it's somewhere from 50 to 300. It really depends. Each fund company with each fund company's management. So it's a lot, but it's a lot for an individual to take in. But that's why you speak to a financial consultant, advisor, a professional that can help you get through those rough waters. And I think sometimes we create our own rough waters.
Oh,
It may be farther, smoother sailing if you actually have to start that conversation, if you engage and have a conversation.
mhm. Well, while we were discussing this, I kind of used a Shark Tank analogy. I'm not
Yes, you
sure
did.
how many of you may actually watch Shark Tank, but they talk about a lot of times with somebody's kind of on the fence about what they're doing. They mention, do you want a smaller percentage of something that's huge, or
Right,
do you want 100% of something that's small or
right,
maybe nothing at all because you weren't
right.
able to get it off the ground?
Mhm.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but that's a pretty easy one. I'll take 70 or 80 or 90% of something to grow it much
Mhm.
faster because somebody else has come in that knows so much more than I
Right.
do about it
Mhm.
and can push that, so
Product through.
much further than I can.
Right.
And that's what essentially a financial consultant does. They know this. They know all this stuff that we were just talking about, all those numbers, all those
Mhm.
mutual funds and bonds and stocks and stuff. That's their job. They
Yes.
understand it. And so they can take that information, they can take what your strategy is for your finances and what your goals are, and then they can kind of put
Put it
together
together.
what would work best for you instead
Mhm.
of you looking at all of these being overwhelmed going, I'm not sure which would be best. And
Mhm.
you just kind of throwing darts,
Right.
and hoping you pick the right one, because they all have different things that they're trying to do.
Right.
Some are looking for income strategies, some are looking for growth strategies. There's, and I mean, and I'm not a stock advisor or anything, so I can't even begin to tell you what all they do, but they all have different strategies behind them. So you want to make sure you're in those that have the same strategy that you're looking at.
Well, sometimes, and when they'll find out when you begin interviewing and you begin engaging, you'll find out, or you will be able to define what your strategy and what your needs are. Because if you ask them what their strategy is, they could tell you something that you would have no idea how it relates to how you want to put it to work. So this will start when you start doing the interviewing, or you start actually being serious to find out about it, you will better define what you're looking to accomplish. And then you'll be able to find the professional that you can work with.
Well, a good financial consultant will be able to ask you questions when you may
Mhm.
not be able to go into that meeting knowing what
Right.
you're looking to do.
Mhm.
They know how to talk to you to kind of, get that information out of
Right.
you. They know the questions to ask
Mhm.
and make you start thinking. And it may be something where on that first meeting they ask you these questions. You're like, I don't know.
Right.
So they may send you away and say, go
Do your
figure it
homework.
out,
Yeah.
and then
Do your
come back
homework.
to
Yeah.
me.
And that's what happened. You know what? You take this out. You would do the same thing if you were talking to a doctor. You do the same thing when you go find a hairstylist. It may not be on the same level, but you're asking the questions to see what products they use or how they provide their services. So if you took the financial label away and I said to you, this is the process, you say, oh, wow, I already do that.
Mhm.
It's something I do when I go to find a doctor or when I do that. So if you go in with that attitude, that's already a process you probably already know
Mhm.
how to do. It's just a matter of now talking to somebody who can implement what you're trying to accomplish.
Mhm. Absolutely. And we've talked before about having a lot of these goals and stuff planted out. That's stuff to take into your financial advisor. That helps them know what you're looking to do.
Right.
And that's exactly what you should be talking about with them so that they can kind of design that right investment strategy for you.
Mhm.
But
I think that was cool. So don't be afraid. You're not allowed to be afraid. No more. We've taken it away. But there is nothing to be scared of.
right.
You
Yeah,
just
there
need to start
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, and we understand that a lot of this you may not understand exactly, but again, that's what they're there for, to help you explain some of these
Mhm.
terms and what it is. And you don't have to know all of this information, because again, that's why you have this person that's there to work for you to make your investments work the way you want them to work.
Correct.
And so it's important to get the right one. You want to
Mhm.
make sure that they fit well with you, that you're
Right.
not worried about picking up that phone and calling them because you have a
Right.
question. That's what they're there for.
That's
So,
their job.
yes.
Let them do it. Yes.
So hopefully we've maybe given you at least a little bit of information about why you shouldn't be scared. And like I said, if they're wanting to charge you money just to have a conversation with them,
Call me,
exactly.
contact me,
Yes.
and we can there is no reason for you to be able to start a conversation for a fee.
Mhm.
It shouldn't, and none of the consultants or financial professionals should do that. There maybe the next time we'll kind of break down the different types of financial consultant professionals out there so you can understand what works for you. But
Mhm.
nobody should just charge you for a basic overall let's chat.
Right. Absolutely. So, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments here. Don't give any personal information,
Please
obviously.
no.
But, if you have just an overall general question or something, or, just something you're kind of curious about or something like that, drop it in the comments. And
Mhm.
either Paula or I,
For both of
depending
us.
on what it is, either one of us will drop you an answer or whatever. Or, feel free to pick up a phone, call us, or drop us an email. That's what
Yeah.
we're here for. So, we'll leave it with that on this one. And obviously, if there are any specific topics or something like that that you'd like to hear a little bit more about, feel free to drop those in the
Yeah.
comments as well. We kind of come up with what we talk about ourselves and stuff. But if there's something very specific that you'd like to know a little more about that we haven't talked about, let us know.
Work. And we talk a lot, so we come up with all sorts of ideas.
Absolutely.
So
So,
on that note, have an
yeah.
incredible St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
Not too much alcohol. Be safe and call Uber just in case.
Yes. No bad experiences today.
No, not. Yeah, we want to see you here next week. Same time, same place.
So we will see y'all next week.
Bye bye now.
Bye bye.